Hello and welcome to the new Power BI tutorial for beginners, where I will show you how you can create this HR attrition dashboard from scratch. We will going to talk a lot about why do you need to create a dashboard, then we will see it, what is the data that is behind this dashboard, and finally step by step how would you create each of these KPIs, each of these visualization, and put it together with all the settings that I have done in terms of, if you look at the color that I have chosen, if you have looked at the font color that I have chosen, and things like those. So this goes in a long way of creating a very visually appealing as well as something which your users will going to like in terms of what the visualization or what the information that they are looking for. So we will going to look at all the settings from end to end, right from starting where to find this Power BI software to how to create this final layout. So there will be a lot going on in this video, so make sure you stay tuned with me. Along with that, I keep sharing the tips and tricks and a lot of different messages based on my experience into the Power BI as well as an industry overall. And then we will see how finally we bring all of these pieces together and create a dashboard like this. With that, stay tuned with me and let's get started with from where we will going to get this software Power BI. Okay, so here we are into the Power BI and into the Google Chrome, and we will going to simply write like we would do it for any other software, download Power BI, and this will open up simply the Microsoft Center from where you can go and download. So this download link is quite simple, powerbi.microsoft.com/enus, that means English US/downloads. If you go down below, you will find the information about how you can download the software. For example, what you have is over here Power BI desktop. You can simply go on to the download option and it will start the download. Open Microsoft Store. From the Microsoft Store, it will going to show you that the Power BI is present and you can go ahead and install it. The benefit behind downloading it from Power BI Store Microsoft Store is that it will always keep your desktop up to date. So if you see, this is what the dashboard is. Since I have already installed, that's why it is showing me the option of opening it, but in your case it will ask you to install it. So that's how you can go ahead and install it. From here the install button will come, and once the installation is done, then we will go ahead and start with the Power BI. So for that, let me go to the Power BI and show you this dashboard in action. So like I said, we will going to first discuss about why would you need to create a dashboard, right? So the dashboard is basically a combination of multiple visualization. As you can see, you have the KPIs at the top, you have the layer or you have side-by-side visualization which is related to each other, and down below you have two other visualization which is basically showing you the entire summary of your business. So if you are into an HR department and you want to look at how is the attrition in various different departments, like over here I have provided the filters. For example, how is the attrition in HR, how is the attrition in research and development, how is the attrition in sales, right? So you can select from here. Not just here, if you see it over here, you have it male, which is this section, and female, so pretty much the same, right? So this is where you get to know by gender if your people are leaving more, doesn't look like, right? And then you have the information about attrition rate by education, attrition rate by education field, age group, in which age group, that means those who are in 18 plus but less than 25 is something which is having the highest attrition. Then what you have is the 25 plus, 35 plus, 45 plus, right? All of those. Down below it shows attrition rate by job role. Highest one is into the sales representatives, sales execs and managers, and this is what the trend really looks like for your sales department. There you can click anywhere. For example, if you want to click here, all the visualizations then will go down to this particular level. Or let's say you want to look at bachelor degree, you click it over here, rest other visualization will going to go down by this. So that's a power of Power BI, where it allows you to have a complete interactive dashboard that is something give you a bird eye view of your business as to what's going on, and all the KPIs, all the visualization is filtered based on whatever selection that we are making. So let's go ahead and get started. And the very first step is, what is the data set? So let's go and see the data. All right, so here you have the attrition.xls file, which is present in the dataset folder. The link is present in the description. And once you will download and open the file, let me show you how it will going to look like, and let's go through it in a couple of minutes. All right, so here we have our Excel file, the file which we will going to use. So what it has is a lot of different fields. As you can see, it has the age group. However, I will show you how you can create your own age group as part of the Power BI functionality, because not just this, for any reason, if you need to create an age group, you can do that. Attrition, yes or no. Attrition indicate yes. If yes is present, then what is the attrition date? If no, that means it is an active employee, and then the date of attrition is not present as usual, right? So wherever it is yes, the attrition has happened, then it is the date which is present. Then in which department, what is the department for active and attrition employee, what is the education, this is the calculation, but this should be education field, right, which we'll be using. Then the employee number 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. What is the gender, male or female, job role, age, employee, and over here a lot of different values. So first of all, we have employee count, which we can use for all the counting related purpose. As you can see, the value is always 1. Then what is the environment satisfaction? That means the working environment that we have. What is the, so this is something we can keep it different, or so you have the job involvement. What is the ratings for job involvement? Then we have the job satisfaction. What is the monthly income, the percent salary hike, performance rating that they have got, their relationship satisfaction, maybe through the survey they have get that information, and then what is the work-life balance related rating that they have. So 1 is lowest, 5 is the highest, right? So this is the data that we are dealing with. I have shown you the location. The location is present in the description. Along with that, couple of other links like the previous dashboards that I have created, and some other links that will be useful for you. With that, let's go ahead and see the dashboard. All right, so here we are into the dashboard, and I'll just take a minute to explain this dashboard. Well, over here at the top, what you have is the title about the dashboard, that it is an attrition dashboard, and the color you can see is carefully chosen with the right tone so that it goes with the dashboard. The second thing is filtering by the department. So we want to give a clear indication that you have the filters available here and you can filter by department. Down below, then a clear layout of the KPIs that I'm using, like attrition employees, active employee, attrition rate, average monthly income, and average age. These are the KPIs usually given to you by your department as to what are the KPIs that they want to track. And with the help of that, you basically go ahead and create it. Now, this is because it is a beginner friendly dashboard. I am showing you very basic steps in terms of how you can create it, but these can be very advanced, which I show it in my training. For example, attrition employees, and let's say you want to compare current month versus previous month, current year versus previous year, with indicators, whether it is going up, going down. Similarly, attrition rate, going up, going down, all of those type of dynamic behavior and all is something in advanced training which I provide. If you have an interest after learning the basics, you can come and reach out to me on the email which is flashing out over here, and figure out what I cover, and I'll show you the detail. So let's come back to the dashboard. We have the KPIs, then we have the supporting metrics. The whole idea behind creating the dashboard is that the business owner wants to track their key performance indicator with which the compensation is, let's say, attached. For example, you have an attrition rate of 19.2% over here, but let's say you have the target of 20%, that in your organization attrition should not go above 20%. So what should you really do? So if you have a target like that, then you can simply put a target over here and even do the comparison that you are near to the target, you have passed the target. That means you have gone ahead of 20%, which is not good for you, right? So that means you are, let's say, somewhere near to the threshold, and now you have become really curious, like whether it's the male or female who are leaving my organization, or is it like by education field? For example, people with technology degree or technological background are leaving more, or life sciences, those are leaving more. Or let's say by age group, that people in a certain age group, for example 18 to 25 years group people are leaving the most. So probably that becomes your interest area, where you, let's say, go ahead and click, and all the other metrics get refreshed. So if you see for this particular itself, the attrition rate is 55.7%, which is also shown over here. That means you have 79 active employees, and out of that 44 have gone. That means something is really wrong. And once you clicked over here, you can clearly see, let me just click it over here, you can clearly see that within the marketing, you know, it's really driving. It's like 233%. I don't know what's really going on, but that shows the insight that first of all, I need to take care of this group. Within that, marketing is something really bad, and though within and then bachelor degree and all folks are really going in that direction. So that basically covers up a lot of information. For example, after clicking this, let's say click on marketing, right? Let me just click over here and then click over here onto the marketing. It then shows that within the marketing and then this 18 plus group education, you have these categories like the manager, the sales exec, the sales representative, who are really leaving the organization a lot, right? So this finally shows the trend as to when the trend was started. So looks like after somewhere in the start of October, it started picking up, right? And now from April, it has become stable. So it shows a lot of information, as you can see, within just with the help of couple of clicks, as to what's really going on into the organization or how you can really improve. So it looks like you have to work here, then onto the marketing department, and that's where we will going to get the most impact out of it, right? So with that, let's go ahead and start creating the dashboard from scratch. All right, with that, let me start the file and new, and in file and new, we will going to create everything from the scratch, and that's the whole purpose. We have seen how you can install it. We have seen the data set, we have seen the dashboard, and now I will show you all the different settings which will help you create a dashboard which we just reviewed, right? So this is how it is coming, the first screen, right? So we'll close this, and let me just close this, and once we close this, you know, we need to see where from where we can get the background. So if you remember, I had the background. Let me just go back to the dashboard. So over here, I am following a specific type of background. So how you can get that background is also an important feature or important information that I want to pass it on to you. So for that, let's go to the Google Chrome. So into the Google Chrome, you need to search by the gradient background. And as soon as you hit enter, you will going to find a window like this, where you need to go into the images, and within the images, based on the background that you want to choose. For example, in my case, I have chosen the red one. So red is something what I'm choosing, and then I can choose a specific one which I need for my visualization, right? So something like, I believe I have chosen probably this one. You can choose any of the one as per your need, right? And then you can simply click, let's say you want this, you right click and you save it, save the image. Wherever you will save it, you will going to get it for your dashboard. All right, with that, let's go to our blank Power BI workbook. Okay, so here we are into our blank workbook, and how we are going to get the background is by clicking it over here, and we have the canvas background. Within the canvas background, we need to click on browse, and within the browse, wherever this is present, I will select that. And while you are here and you have come a long way where we have started creating the dashboard, that means you are really serious about learning the Power BI, right? So again, information that this is where I have my all of my information stored, where I give the trainings about Power BI, right? The advanced one, which I also shared while I was explaining the dashboard, that all the different advanced components, and I can inform you more about it if you are interested. And for that, you can drop me an email, which is flashed out over here. So we have chosen the background, and now let's reduce the transparency to 0, and from normal fit, click on the fit. So we have this. This will all be gone once we started having the data and start creating the visualization. So for that, we have the Excel workbook. As you can see, we'll click over here. We have the attrition data that we have something already reviewed. I just double clicked over there and it will start evaluating the data, and a window will appear which will ask us that we want the attrition table. I check that. If I have multiple sheets, I can select multiple sheets and then click on load. So I have the option to load. I have option to transform data. Transformation is possible if, let's say, you want to change something right into the data. But for now, I will simply go ahead and click on the load, and it will start loading the data into the system. What it does in the backend, it basically does all the configuration which allows us to have a relationship into the data, because all the slicers that we will create or all the clicks that we do, right, it basically happens because in the background it is doing this processing. Now you see the image has changed from get data to build the visual. So it is also giving us step-by-step instruction. So let's come back here. And the very first thing is the title, if you remember. So we will going to click on the text box, and in that we will going to say HR attrition dashboard, right? We'll select that, and from here let's choose 32, and this much is, I believe, fine, right? And now you see the problem with this is that you are getting a bit of this white background, right? So this is something which is not very properly or going as per the theme of the dashboard, right? And I'm using my arrow keys to move up and down a little bit. So this is the dashboard icon, or sorry, the dashboard title. And to remove the background, what do we need to do is come over here in effects, make sure it is selected, otherwise you won't see this. So this is selected, effects, just uncheck the background, right? But this text is black, right? So what do we need to do? We need a better text, which is this one, white but 20% darker. That way it goes with the dashboard, as you can see, right? So if you see, if I just remove everything, you have the HR attrition dashboard. Now once you have the dashboard, what do we need? We need the filters. So for that, we will go to the visualization pane, and in that we have the slicer, right? So we'll bring the slicer over here, and in the data we will going to expand that, and here are all our fields. And I forgot to mention that this is where you will going to get within the data section all the measures, like wherever you have the numbers, and all the fields which have the categories or the text values, right? You can come over here into the data view as well and view the entire data that you have imported in an Excel type of a format. Here you have all the functionality where you can come and see into the drop down like you see it in Excel, or you want to, let's say, change the name, you select it, right, and change the name from here, you change the format from here. You want to put a default summarization, like you want a particular field to always calculate sum, average or count, you can still do it from here, right? You want to sort a column, you can sort it from here. You want to create some groups, you can even create the groups like we have done it in case of age or age group. But I will show you a different way where you have a better control with the help of the conditional statement. So stay tuned with me for that. Now I'll just come back to my report view. Within the report view, I have this slicer, if you remember, and what I'll do is bring the department onto the field of this slicer. So now the HR, R&D and sales is coming, but the dashboard which I showed you had a different type of slicers, right? So that is nothing but the buttons. So what do we need to do is we need to come over here into format your visual. We have the slicer setting. Within that, from vertical list, we need to change it to a tile, and you will going to get the buttons. So what you do is you drag it up, as you can see, right, and you reduce it to this much, I believe, and then you have your filters over here. Again, we don't need any background information, so make sure it is selected. Go to the general, within the effect, remove the background. So background is removed. Now we just need to change the color of our these titles. So for that, we need to come on to the visual. So we have slicer values, right? Font color is right now black. So what do? Is we, let's say, choose So we need to choose a little whiter color. So maybe I'll choose this, right? So it is changed. And for slicer, we also need to make sure that we change the background as well. So from here, I'll come over here, background, I choose a dark background like this. So that way it goes with it. Right now it is not going that much, so we can do a bit of an experiment as well. Like for example, over here red, right? Now it is going a little bit with this. So you can see, you can select it, come to the format your visual. From slicer setting, you can change slicer setting to drop down, tile or vertical list, which is the default one. From the values, you can make all the changes like what should be your font, what should be your background, and then you have it with you. Also, I'll just make it bold just so that it is clearly visible, right? So we have this. Let me just expand this little bit so that it is properly coming. So a lot can be done, as you can see, with the help of little bit of settings, and we will going to get the desired output. So we have the filters, we have the title. Now let's go ahead and start creating the KPIs. For KPIs, we will going to create it using the card, and for card we will do all the setting in the first KPI, and then rest of the KPI will going to be just duplicated, right? So what do we have? If you remember, we had the attrition employee, active employee, and attrition rate, and so on and so forth. So let's start with the attrition employee. So for that, we need the employee count. If you remember, if I go over here, what does employee count contains? So employee count contains nothing but 1, just so that we can count the employee very easily. So over here, let's just bring the employee count over here. By default, it does the sum. So sum is also not an issue. So all in all, how many employees you have? 1470 employees that you are having. But in the first KPI, we want to only show the attrition employee, right? So for that, our filter panes will be useful. So what do we want? We want to filter on this visual by the attrition. So attrition is present over here. You bring it on to the data field and just say yes. And you get 237 employees who have left the company, right? Now you see the sum of employee count. We don't want that. We want to say attrition employees, right? Or attrition employee count. So let's call it in capital attrition EMP, which is employee, and count, right? Why in capital? It is a design effect. For KPIs, if you have in capital, because these are important values, right? So that is why having it into a capital, but with a little bit lighter font basically gives us an important, but also does not impact into the eye of the end user as to with the comparison with visualization. So 237 is the highest number, but this is what the title of this 237, so that user can consume it without an issue. So we have 237. Let me just drag it up a little bit. This much is fine. And I think this much width is also fine. Now we have to do some formatting. For example, if you can see, we have the within the general. First I came over here, then in general, then in effects, right? We have the color over here, white color, which I will make it 85% transparent. So what it does is, because of this transparency, it takes whatever is the background that you are having, but then a little bit shadow of the white color, right? So up to us how much we want, but this is an important setting, so that we have the color. Sorry, over here in the effects, we have the color. Let's just make it maybe 80% so that properly it is coming. So we have the effect, and we also using the background that is present in the backend. Now the title is not coming properly, or the number and the below subtitle is not coming. So for that, we'll go into the visual, call out value from the color. Let's choose this color, right? Now it is properly visible. And then what we have is category label, which will also choose this one. That way it is properly visible. So now you see you have it, but what we don't have is the round edges, if you remember from the dashboard. So what do we do for rounded edges is by, again, we need to select the visuals, right? Whatever we want, we select the visual, we come on to the format visual, come into the general, and again into the effects. We have the visual border. Okay, so we have the visual order, we have to enable it. And then color, up to us, what do we want? I will go with my theme, so I will choose my dark red color, and the rounded corner I will keep it 25. Okay, with that you will see this is how the effect I am getting. So again I will select that and just drag this little bit because it is just creating an issue. So up to us how much rounded edges we want. 25 I believe is a good number for your standard visuals, right? So we have the KPI which is created over here. Also I have the shadow impact, so shadow is also present over here with the black color. Black is I believe fine because our background is anyway dark, but you have the option of where you want outside or inside. For outside you have the various options, bottom right, bottom left, right, center, wherever you want, right? So for me bottom right is the best option, so I'll just delete that. I think I accidentally clicked somewhere. Now once I have done the setting, I just have to copy and paste, copy, paste, Control C, Control V, right? Control C, Control V, third, Control C, Control V, fourth, Control C, Control V, fifth, and fifth we will, let's say, keep until here, okay? Or with the help of right arrow onto the keyboard up until here. Now you see the problem. The problem is you have the variable width between these KPIs. So what do? We select everyone, right? Go into the format, align, distribute horizontally. So we click on that. Now you see each of the visual is properly horizontally distributed. So we don't have to do all that movement like one by one, pixel by pixel, and come to final conclusion as to whether this is looking fine or not. That's a tedious exercise. Since this functionality is available, I wanted to make sure you are aware and using this functionality in your dashboard. So with that, let's move on to the visuals we have copied. So this is the copied one, attrition employee. After that we will going to get the active employee count. So it's quite easy. We come over here and simply click on no and uncheck yes, give us the active employee count. We have to change the title. So the title is, for that we will come over here into format your visual. We have the category label, but not format. We have to come over here in the field and we will call it active. We will remove the attrition. We will call it active employee count. With that, our visual is ready. See, if you have done all the configuration on the first one, then your task becomes really easy. And I wanted to give you this tip just so that you don't have to do the formatting every single time for every single box. That way your development will be very, very faster. So now let's move on to the next KPI, which is the attrition rate. And here we will going to use the DAX. DAX is the language for Power BI where you need the calculations to be in place. Not every data set comes with everything that you need, right? And business needs the new calculation based on when the situation is. So this attrition rate is nothing but 237 divided by 1233, which will give you a percentage about what is the attrition rate that you have in your company. Now for that, what do we need is we need to click on new measure. As soon as you click on the new measure, it will give you an address bar sort of a visual or a place where you can say, or you can write attrition rate. And here we will going to use the DAX function calculate. Calculate helps us do the calculation as well as filter. As you can see, you can write the expression and you can write the filter. Okay. So we need to do the dynamic calculation of this attrition employee and active employee. So the way we will going to do that is we will say sum of employee count. If you remember, employee count has the value 111 populated for every row, right? 1 for every row. So we have this, and now what we need is the filter. Filter is attrition. So this is the field, attrition equals to yes, right? So what it does is this calculate gives you the attrition yes, that means it will be equal to 237. Now what do we need? We need to wrap this inside the divide function. Okay, So this is the numerator 237, and after the comma we will write the denominator, which is the 1233. So again I will simply copy this, right, and you can specify one condition or multiple condition over here in the filter, right. So paste it and say no will give you the active employee count. Now up to us whether and this is more company to company specific. 237 divided by 1233 gives you the one value. Also 237 divided by overall count is also an attrition value, right? If based on what you need to specify the condition in the denominator, that means over here. So let me first show you with the condition as no, that means attrition divided by active employee count. 237 divided by 1233 will give you a value, and that is something we can then use it. This attrition rate we can use it over here by simply putting it and dragging it on top of here. What it gives you? 19%, right? And the way we will going to change it to 19% by clicking over here and then coming over here onto the percentage, right? And if it is not appearing, this is under the measure tools, right? So 19.22, let me just have it only one decimal. I click it over here and it gives me 19.2%. Now this is one way of calculating it. If let's say this is the standard your company is following, but if your company is following that, hey, over attrition divided by the sum of 237 plus 1233, which is more like a gross attrition. So the way you can do that is I will just cut it for now, Control X, denominator I am cutting it, and I am simply saying give me the count of employee and close it, which will change this to a different calculation. Now it is giving you everything, right, which is 100% is the attrition rate. So depends on what we will going to specify. Ideally it should not give you 100%, it should only give you the a respective value, 237 divided by 237 plus 1233, and I believe over here this is the count we have used. However, it is the one what it is having, so I will just use the sum. Sum will give us the entire value count, and let's see how it is changing the value. So it is not changing the value at all, and the way what I wanted to basically see is 237 divided by, and I can bring it the calculator, and that will give us, and whenever you are in doubt, either open your spreadsheet and do the calculation that you need. So 1233 plus 237 is 1473. So what do you need is basically 237 divided by, oh, I forgot 1233 plus 237, 1470. I can remember this. 237 divided by 1470 is around 16% is the value which I am expecting over here. If I change it to a percent, not the percentage over here, but 16% is what I am really expecting that it should give to us when 237 is divided by that particular number. So the one thing which I realized that why it is giving us 100% is because attrition is mentioned as yes for this visual. So what do we need to do? We just need to make sure that it is unchecked, and then we will going to get it. So I basically then looked at like why it is not giving us the proper output. Also in the backend I tried basically to also implement the calculate, but let me just remove that and try to see if everything is coming properly over here. 16.1% is absolutely fine. So depends on what do we need, we basically move ahead with that. So if this is the attrition rate, let's go ahead with that. But company to company it changes, depends on the scenario that you are handling. Now we have the attrition rate. This calculation is done. We will do the next calculation of average age in case of an attrition. Okay, so attrition is mentioned as yes, and then what do we need is basically this age. I will change this to field over here, and then over here from this drop down I'll click over here and change it to average. So average age in case of attrition is 33 years, right? So what do we need? We don't need the decimal points. So the way we will going to do that is I will just going to select it over here, right? And I come over here onto the percentage and then change it back to this decimal. That basically does the trick pretty much of this output. Looks like it is not getting clicked. Let me try something else very quickly. No, and then over here, so format is, I will say, whole number, and that should give me 33.61, and this I want to change it to 0. Let me just try to do that. Or what they have, auto is also one of the option, which I'm just trying with that. So a little bit weird behavior, but what I'll do is first thing first, I'll change it to a whole number again, and I'll change this to 1, right? So now it is 1, and then come back to 0. So this is where it should give me, but let me just correct it properly so that it is not doing that. So for some reasons it is basically creating this issue, but if I move this to 0 and reduce this comma, because I remember it's the setting which I did, and after that it worked perfectly for me. Let me just try to repeat that. Okay, so I hit the pause button and try to see what has really gone wrong. So over here, the way we need to do it is we need to say fixed decimal number to 0, and then it is working perfectly. So sometimes it's gives the weird behavior. So we are just doing that. All right, so we have the average age. Now let's move on to the monthly income. So over here we have 237. We have the monthly income over here, which we will going to put it over here. Again, instead of sum, we will going to use the average, right? So 4.79k is I'll double click over there and say average monthly income when you are having an attrition. MOTHLY, and I'll need to write it in all in caps, so I'll just do it. Monthly income. Okay, so 4.79k is the average monthly income, average age. With that, all of our KPIs are in place as per the dashboard that I showed you earlier, right? Now we will look at the attrition by gender with the help of a donut chart. So let's go ahead and create a donut chart. Donut chart is present over here. We can click over here. Donut is coming. Again, we will follow the same practice where we are doing the setting for one chart and then it is getting replicated for rest. So we have this chart, okay, and then what we are bringing in is we have the values as an attrition rate, okay. So we have an attrition rate 16.1, which is coming over here as well. Now what we need is the gender. So gender is present over here, which we will going to put it where on the legend, and you have the female part and you have the male part, right? So this is this, and then this gender we will move it below to this, and for that we need to come over here into the format your visual, legend, center right. We need to change it from center right to bottom center. That way it is coming properly. That's the setting I really want to have. So attrition rate by gender, the title is also populated. What do we need? We need some background settings. So coming to the general, effects, background, white, transparency. If you remember, this is what 85%. And what it gives us, a beautiful looking chart. As per our need, we need to do some more formatting to make sure that everything is properly highlighted. But first thing first, we'll select this chart, come back again here in the general, in effects, over here onto the visual border, we will enable that, which will be the dark red color from here, and then rounded option, if you remember, we did it 25. Okay, so that is one thing which is done. Now let's come back to the visual. Onto that, what do we have is basically details lib and values. Values are in black, and we will change it to slightly a gray color, which is properly visible over here. Similar way, we will going into the legend, we have the text, and this will also be this much dark so that it is properly visible to us. Now only thing what is remaining is the title. So for the title we have to go into the general, and over here the title is present text color. Let's make it also slightly, I think little bit brighter would be good, what I feel. Yeah, this much is fine. That way title is properly visible, and as you can see with the rounded corners, your chart is ready, which is a good settings and in alignment with all the other KPIs that you are having. Once we have done that, we have to just copy it, right? Like we did it earlier, Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, right? And one more chart. So for that, what do I do is, let me just reduce this to little bit less so that I get a space. And same way, what I'll do is over here, this much space is fine, and we will going to just reduce this as well. So I think it needs to come down to this, and this much is fine. And over here also we will just align this and reduce this to the same setting. If we do the same setting over here, we don't have to do that. Otherwise, what you can also do is you select here, come over here in visual, come over here in general, in properties, 236, 290. Select this, 236, 290. It's very straightforward. Select this, 236, 290. With the tab, you can change it, right? You have it here. Control C, Control V, one more. Then you select both the things or all the four components. You have format, you have align, you have distribute horizontally, and these are properly distributed as per your needs. Okay. Now it's all about, first thing first, I need to remove that. I don't know, I must have clicked somewhere and it has created this question Q&A. Okay, so we have this attrition rate by gender. Now what we will going to do is we will going to take attrition rate by education, but before that we will change it to this clustered bar chart. So we will going to click over here, clustered bar chart, and rather than saying gender, we will going to say the education over here and remove the gender from here. So now we have this chart which we have to format it. So again, I will have to do a little bit of formatting by formatting your visual over here, and then going on to the y-axis. First thing first, I don't need that title for the y-axis, but the colors should be this, so that this is properly coming. Now this is not also this is not properly coming as dots are coming. So the way you need to do it, within values you have max area width, you increase this completely and you get the full values, right? Also you have the x-axis value. We don't need it. The reason we don't need it is if I just remove that, also within the x-axis we have to forcefully disable the title. The reason we don't need it is because we can enable the data labels. If we have the data labels, we don't need the x-axis. If we don't have that x-axis, then if we have the x-axis, then having the data label doesn't make a lot of sense. So that way, no guesswork, one can clearly see that what is the exact value over here. Now, so that I don't have to do the formatting again, let me just remove this chart and copy and paste this chart, right? Control C, Control V, and I am here. Okay. And I just need to do is remove the education, and I need to move the education field. And that way all of my formatting is done. I don't have to do it again. It's all already part of this component, right? So very easily I just created. So this is a very important part where you do the formatting once and let it do for rest of the scenarios. So we have this, then we have attrition rate by gender. Let me just quickly see what is a chart that I create. Okay, so I could see that I created attrition by age group. So first thing first is we need to create an age group, and I will show you that calculation over here so that you have a control. So you have two different ways in which you can create the aggregation group or the group for a value. First thing first is you come over here onto the age. You on these three dots like more option, you have the new group, right? In this new group you can create age bins based on the field age. Group type, you have two values, list or bin. Since we need to create a bin, we will choose the bin, and size of the bin and number of bins. Number of bins will going to decide automatically. Size of the bins, we can specify that, let's say 10 should be the size. So what it does is binning split numbers or date time data into equality size of group. So what do we do is, let's say we click OK, and then age bin will be created for us. So age bin, if we just, so what I'll do is I'll first remove this so that I don't have to do the formatting. Copy this, paste this again over here, and with that I'll remove the education field and I will going to choose the age bin. Now this age bin, I will choose this particular chart. From the visualization you can see I have chosen that one. So that basically shows 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But in the visualization that I have it over there, if I show you over here, if you see 18 plus, 25 plus, 55 plus, that means we are having a control over our visualization, right? So how we can do that? Let me just show you with the help of the again DAX measure. Okay, so what do we need is a new measure, and we will call it, let's say, something around age group or age size group, let's say, and we call it with the help of the function switch. Switch is an important function that you should know how to configure it. So I'll hit the switch button. Expression, this will be also a tricky one because we will going to say true. That means nothing something we are specifying, but we are asking switch to execute. Otherwise it execute based on the expression. So after the comma, press Alt Enter. Alt Enter will move it onto the next line, and we will say age. So we have something called as age over here. Okay, so what it is doing is also an interesting thing. We actually don't need measure, if I recollect correctly, because it is not giving us the values. So the reason it is not giving us the values because measure expect you to have an aggregation. However, what we are creating is a value for each row. So I'll hit cross and I'll come on to here on a data table. So what do we need is we need to create a new column rather than measure. Measure is something where we, if you remember, when we created attrition rate, we used the aggregation function like sum or calculate, right? So we will say age bin size, and now we will going to use the switch, and here it will produce it because we are creating a new column, not a measure. So if you are not sure what is the difference between column and measure, let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you. So whole idea is, for column, value is present for each row, where for aggregation value is present as a one value or as a final outcome value. For example, you have salary hike, but this is for each row. But when you have the measure, this will be average salary hike. The output will be only one value, whereas details are present in each row. So what we are creating a detail for each row. So comma, Alt Enter, and then what we are saying is age. Now the age will be coming. If age is greater than, let's say 55, then we are saying 55 plus, comma, Alt Enter, attrition, age is greater than 45, then we are saying 45 plus, right, comma, Alt Enter, age is greater than 35, then we are saying within the bracket, within the double quotes, 35 plus, and then bracket closed, comma, alt enter, attrition age is greater than 25, then we are saying 25 plus, comma, plus sign, comma, alt enter, attrition age greater than equal to 18, so that it includes 18 row as well, then we will say 18 plus, right? Depends on what are all the settings that we need, and then we can finish it up by closing it. Click OK, and you will going to get age bin size. So you have now, you can see, populated here based on the age that of a person. So age is like 33, so that is categorized under 25 plus. Now let's go back to the visualization. In this visualization, what do we have is the attrition rate, which is into the bins, right? So we will remove the bins and we will use this one, which is our custom calculation, age bin size, 18, 25, and then we have 35, then we have 45, and then we have 55, right? So that is something where a bit of a sorting is needed, just so that 18, 25, then 35, and then 45, and then 55 should come. So to do that, let's do a small trick with the help of the more option. It's actually a configuration related thing. So sort axis, right? You have these options. Sort by attrition rate or bin size. These are the two fields that we are having, and then sort ascending or descending. First thing first, let's click on sort by age bin size. So we get 55, 45, 35, 25, 18. Now we just have to reverse it. So we'll go again over here, sort axis, sort ascending, and what we get is 18, 25, 35, 45, and 55, right? So that's how you can utilize the inbuilt functionality of the of your Power BI features and get it corrected. So only thing what I'm doing, I'm selecting everything from the format and align, and I'm just saying distribute horizontally so that it is properly distributed. I was just thinking that there is a more space over here. So save it and let's call it attrition walkthrough. Okay. Now we don't have a space over here, right? That's another problem that you may run into, that you have created visualization but there is no space. Well, what do you do in that scenario? In that scenario, if you need more space, you come over here onto format your visual, onto the canvas setting over here. From 16:9 you need to choose to custom, and from custom over here you need to change the height, let's say to 900, and you get more space, right? I think 900 is more. Let's just choose with 800, and 800 is good enough. Okay, so we have got more space. Now what do we need is basically this particular chart. I'll just copy paste, right? Because it's all about attrition, right? So this is attrition, and this is a little big chart what I remember I created, and this is to show the impact by the job role. So there is a lot we can do with this, and that's something I show it in my trainings as to how you can then further take it from beginner level to advanced level. That's why I'm saying you can do a lot with this. So from here you can change it to job role. Here you have got all the job roles. What is the percentage? You don't have to format anything. Within like few seconds your chart is created. Now the next chart, if I try to remember, but can't really think about what I did, but let me just quickly see. So what I did is attrition trend by date. So let me come back, and what I'll do is I'll just copy and paste this and come over here, which is fine. So what do we need is we have the attrition rate, but what do we need is a different value. We need the employee count, because we have to show the actual count of values. So where are you? Employee count over here. So that should be your y-axis, and we remove that job role, let me just cross that, change it to an area chart. So we have y-axis as employee count, and on the x-axis I will bring the attrition date, and that should be your attrition date, right? Now, interesting part is you are getting this visualization compared to this particular visualization, which is a way better representation if you see compared to what we are showing. So this is nothing but the cumulative or the aggregation one top of another above one value based on the dates that we are having. So how we can achieve that? Let me show you. So to do that, what do we need is the employee count. We need to come over here and we need to click on that more option and click on the new quick measure. Okay. The new quick measure, the calculation will be the running total. Okay. And this will be the field. Field will be what? Attrition date, right? So over here, attrition date, and it will be in ascending, and that should be it. And let's click OK. So this will give us a new field, which is employee count running total. This is the one, and that's basically your calculation. So I remove that and I bring this. You get the similar chart without much of an effort, right? So the calculation, all of this calculation is automatically done with the help of the running total. And now because you have all of this, let's say once you gain some more experience with this, then you will be able to further customize this as per your needs, right? So what I'll do is, let me just press that. We have this value, and with that our dashboard is ready. So you can see that even in a beginner type of a video or a beginner type of a dashboard, how much really it goes to create a dashboard like this. Close to 40 or 50 minutes we are into it together. Very intense session. As you can see, we did a lot of settings, we did a calculation, we did the grouping, we did the running total, and on top of that all the different settings plus some tips and tricks like how you would do setting in one component and then replicate in another. So I hope you really enjoyed this session. If you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and for more sessions like this, hit the subscribe button and bell icon. With that, you will keep receiving more and more videos like this. So let me know if you have any question or if you have any requirement of creating a dashboard. And what I'll do is, if you have the data, give it to me, and I'll produce a sample dashboard for you, which you can use it, and everybody else can use it via my channel. With that, thank you so much, and let's meet in the next dashboard video.